but we all have a healing. There's a healing force in all of us to want
Yeah.
to heal. Hey, everybody. You know what? Don't stop me because I'm when I'm having a conversation with another therapist, I can't even start no podcast. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mental Health Monday. We welcoming back Miss Nikquan Lewis. You didn't put anything behind your name. She got a whole lot of acronyms, a whole lot of letters behind her name. You should
I
update
do. I
yourself.
do. It
We
never fits.
Let me tell you, the title of today, hello everybody, is Barriers in the Bedroom. We got expert advice here about what to do in the bedroom. I didn't want to put the SE word in there because I didn't want the algorithms keeping y'all away from this beautiful content. So I'm talking about barriers in the bedroom, but actually what we're talking about is intimacy. Y'all know what I'm talking about. That type of intimacy. And it's so important that we get into this today, particularly because look, everybody, look what we got going on this weekend. Hello, everyone. This weekend is the Black Love Weekend. And guess who's going to be joining us at the Black Love Weekend? It's Miss Nikquan Lewis. Oh my God. She's a sex therapist. How many sex therapists do y'all know? I don't know any. And by the way, I went to look up what all it takes to get to be a licensed sex therapist. And I thought I had to start school all over again. I wasn't going back to school. And I don't need to because I got Nikquan with us. Welcome so much, Nikquan.
Thank you so much. You know, I love coming here on Queen Nubian, and it is a phenomenal time. And make sure you guys grab your tickets because we will have a time this weekend. We're going to be uplifting Black love in all areas.
Yes, we're going to be uplifting Black love. And we're also going to talk about how important it is to connect with each other, not just mentally, not just emotionally, not just physically, not just intellectually, not spiritually, but also there's stuff we do in the bedroom that is equally important. And it's so nice to have you here. And on Sunday, we're going to have Nikquan come on in the VIP. That means you get the recordings and you get to sit and listen to Nikquan talk about this. But let's talk about it today because we really want to talk about sexual intimacy. Let me just go on and say sexual intimacy. To heck with the algorithms. But that's what we're talking about today because I think it's so important between partners to express yourself in a way that is comfortable, in a way that's healthy, in a way that is so beautiful with two consenting adults, and how important it is when you're in a relationship, the emotional piece, how it connects with the satisfaction piece in the bedroom, and how it relates to the overall health of the relationship. Let's start there, Nikquan. How about you talk about and comment on why these things are so important?
So I want to just reinforce that Alicia hit on the different forms of intimacy, right?
Yes.
And intimacy as a whole does not only mean sex, but it includes it. And right, so we want to prioritize intimacy as a whole. We want to make sure that we're connecting on these various areas, and it is important. And sexual intimacy specifically is important. One, it is a result of a healthy relationship, right? And it leads to connection. It leads to connection. It increases and enhances vulnerability. It's also important to know that vulnerability is required, right, for a good and exciting and healthy sex life. And so not having that, so let's be clear. Although sex is a healthy part of a healthy relationship, right, you have various types of relationships where that may not be a factor for whatever reason. But if it is a factor, right, and if it is desired by one partner, if it's a problem for the partner, it's a problem for the relationship, right? So if it's a problem for one, it's a problem for all. And so it is required, and it is a healthy way to connect when you have two consenting adults in a healthy, secure, and emotionally, physically, mentally safe relationship.
Oh, you mentioned vulnerability. And, I'm finding in my practice and even in with individuals who aren't in a relationship, That vulnerability piece is so frightening for people.
Mhm.
In I think what happens is that people are confusing the actual act of intercourse as a true sexual intimacy. And I'd like for you to clarify some of that, because how does vulnerability show up so that we as Black people can understand, number one, what is healthy sexuality and what is something where we feel comfortable just being vulnerable with another person like that?
So vulnerability can be scary for a lot of people because oftentimes the world has shown us as Black people that it's not safe. It's not safe to trust, right? We've been stabbed in the back, we've been mistreated, and all the things, and this does bleed over into our relationships. Especially, we were just talking off camera, we were talking about, the childhood aspect of it all, right? Unresolved trauma. All of us have stuff, be clear. I got stuff, Alicia has stuff, we all have stuff, right? If you don't understand how your stuff shows up into your relationships, not just romantic, right? Platonic, professional, friendship, all the things. If you're not aware of how your stuff shows up in your relationship, vulnerability becomes an issue. And if you are afraid of vulnerability and aren't in either an emotionally safe relationship, or the barrier is more so you and that fear, it absolutely leads to disconnect. It can lead to disconnect, which can then impact the bedroom and impact the quality of the relationship as a whole.
Oh, the quality of the relationship. This is really interesting. I'm writing down as you're talking because I see so many people become so avoidant.
Mhm.
And when you start asking them questions, I mean, people can't tell you about their childhood. Like, usually no one can say between the age of 0 and 5, what was your childhood like? Was somebody there for you? And you never really know. I mean, no one really remembers, but you can look at their behavior, people's behavior right now, and say, wow, you're having an issue with vulnerability because, for instance, maybe you are just avoidant. And we know that a lot of that can come from parents who try to get you not to open up about how you feel. Like, parents themselves are uncomfortable with the range of emotions and they're not attending to you. And so you learn, in order to keep the peace, I need to avoid talking about how I feel. I need to avoid all of these things. And so fast forward, when you get into a relationship and your partner is like wanting you to open up and be vulnerable and connect and have intimacy, and you're all frustrated and mad because they're not, it's like you're pulling teeth out of this person. Come tell me who you are. Come on, I want you all into me for a little bit. It's so difficult for them to do this. You're pulling something out of them that they've never been comfortable doing because they spent their whole life trying to stuff everything in and not even being comfortable being vulnerable.
Absolutely.
Gosh. Well,
Absolutely.
and really, and what people don't understand is that also is a form of trauma. People think trauma is when someone lifts their hands up and be spanking and whooping on little kids and stuff. That's not necessarily trauma. Most trauma is neglect.
So that is a form of trauma, which you mentioned, right? But it's very subjective. It is very subjective. It does show up in forms of neglect, intentional or otherwise, right?
Yes.
It shows up in physical, financial, mental, right? Sexual. It can happen in so many ways, which is why it can be challenging to understand when it's your stuff coming up or
Oh.
it's what's happening in the relationship.
So what do you do? Oh, what do you do with this? Because I know I'm always with this question. When you're dealing with a couple that's together and you're starting to realize, okay, is this something between two people or is this really something coming up for this one person? And of course, we need to be empathetic and allow people to express themselves and really hear it. But what do you do in your practice? Because I know it's always a conundrum, to try to tease out how much of the lack of intimacy that's happening in a relationship is due to how they relate to each other versus one person has this precondition where they really need to get one or two, sometimes it's both of them, where they really need to get individual work done. What do you do?
In my practice, I want to be clear, the arts of sex therapy, very rarely do people come to me because things are amazing and they want to enhance. That is something that I do as well, right? Okay. But the majority of what I do, understand that sex therapy is understanding how all the things, unresolved trauma, communication issues, conflict resolution issues, all of those things impact the bedroom. Hey, Ayana, Houston here. What up, H-Town? And so all of those things impact the bedroom. And so we are definitely deconstructing and pulling the layers back in couples therapy. I'm teaching couples how to identify their triggers, right? How to emotionally regulate. Not too many people that I work with know off top how to emotionally regulate. And what I mean by that is to understand your physical cues of emotion when you hit more of a 5 or 6, so you can then intervene on your behalf. Because if you're communicating at a 10, you ain't got no business doing it. And because either I'm going to explode or implode, right? I say things I don't mean, can't take it back. And all of those things then impact the emotional safety that is necessary for a lot of people to connect, especially women. I won't say all of us, but a lot of us require emotional safety and security to connect sexually. And so understanding your stuff is a big part of being on the journey, the healing journey of being your best self first.
Emotional, I'm writing this down. Emotional security to connect sexually.
Yes.
Husbands, fellas, all y'all out there, you're trying to figure out how you can get you some. You're going to have to sit and listen to and connect with your significant other. Oh my God, I love this. Hey, everybody, how are y'all doing? I see people coming in here. So let me know in the chat where y'all are from. And if you have a question, how many times do y'all get to talk to a sex therapist? I don't ever get to see one. So if you got any questions anonymously, or if you want to just come on out with it, put your questions in the chat, please. And please, listen, this is just a tip of the iceberg right now, what we're getting. This is a preview because Nikquan is going to be bringing it at the blackloveweekend.com. Bruce from Los Angeles, you need to sign up. Now, if you ain't got no lady or significant other, I don't know your orientation, I'm not making assumptions here. Bruce in Los Angeles, you need to come to the Black Love Weekend. I want to see you there online. It's all digital, so people from all over. Look, Santa Monica, California. How you doing, Bannister? Sunshine Bannister. That's what's up. I like this. Sunshine in Santa Monica. Ain't nothing but sun in Santa Monica. And hey, all the way. Oh, Florence, South Carolina. Okay, so we got both. We got one edge of the country all the way to the other. And I'm married to a beautiful woman. Bruce, this would be the best. Let me tell you something. This would be the best Valentine's Day gift you could ever get your wife is a ticket to the Black Love Weekend. And even if y'all busy, it's during the daytime. It's Saturday and Sunday this weekend during the day. So in the evening, y'all can go out to dinner and you can talk about everything that we are addressing. This is a great time. I don't know how long you've been married, Bruce. Put in the chat how long you've been married. But whatever it is, there's no perfect childhood. There's no perfect relationship. There's always room for improvement. And even if y'all are hot and heavy in the bedroom, you still got to make sure that you work on maintaining that because that takes a lot of work. What? Look at Jessica. You got some fans, Nikquan. Me and my husband tuning in, and we sure could see Miss Nikquan Lewis services and we contact her. Okay, wait, how do we contact Nikquan? She didn't listen. Here's her contact information. Contact me. Come on, Jessica. Ain't no, listen, it's 2025 up in here. We ain't got time to play around. So be sure to contact Nikquan. There's her information. And, everybody needs something to help. Yes, help and support. Brenda from Philly. Congratulations, Brenda. What? They not like us. That's what's up. Did you say? They not like us. It was so great to see Philadelphia it wasn't even close. What was Kansas City doing last night? I don't know. But yes, Brenda, I know y'all are so happy. Philly did it again. Philly did it again. Yes. Hey, Brenda. I want to see you too next weekend. Black Lexicon has a tough question. Listen, Nikquan, Black Lexicon is one of our favorites. So he has a tough question to answer, even if it's not today. Are there biblical references to good love making for the married couple together?
Black Lexicon, that is a phenomenal question. Ooh. I don't have an answer at this moment, but I will get it to you. My aunt is a pastor, and we will work together sometimes. I am a believer, but that is more of her area. Good love making. That is so necessary. And also it's important to define what that is. Black Lexicon, if you and your partner haven't taken the time to define, to co-create a healthy and exciting sex life, that is important, because biblical references, I believe in them, but it's also important to know that what you and your wife define, or you and your partner, define as a healthy and exciting sex life is what fits for you.
So and not only does it depends on what fits for you and your partner. And if you get another partner, if suppose that relationship dissolves and you find another partner, sometimes it ain't even really the same. You can't have the same with everybody.
That's why you got to co-create it.
Sometimes what's good with one person ain't going to work with another person. So you got to find new ways. Like Elder Barge said, love me in a special way. You gotta love me in a special way, because what worked before ain't going to work for me.
That's right. And Black Lexicon and everybody else, there are resources that you can get to assist you with co-creating and designing a healthy relationship and a sex life that is perfect for you both. And in one of them, this, Alicia, is my relationship and sex conversation cards. These have healthy relationships, boundaries, and sexual intimacy. Those are the 3 topics covered, but it's 55 cards. These are evidence-based, and they have helped countless therapists, but also because we use this in session, but also couples and individuals to be able to identify your wants, needs, and desires, and then build that healthy relationship with the person that you love, because it's all about co-creating.
That is pretty awesome. So I have to tell you, okay, I got 2 comments. I got a comment about Black Lexicon's thing. So let me just say, there is about a half a dozen different interpretations of the Bible.
Yes.
And sometimes when I was reading the Bible, and I have studied and learned about all 7 interpretations, but I always have to land on one. I have to figure out, Alicia, which one makes sense for you. And when I started looking at the Bible and I started thinking about the Bible stories and the lessons, beautiful lessons in the Bible, I started thinking, maybe this is allegorical. Maybe when in the Bible they talk about a man and a woman coming together, perhaps it's about husband and wife. Perhaps it's about creating things and creation. And then I start thinking about creation. I start thinking maybe creation is just anything that we create. And part of it is sometimes I'm inspired by my conscious mind and my subconscious mind. So when your conscious mind and subconscious mind come together, because I have a background in psychology and all of that, when they come together, you create. That's the creation process. And you start having little children, which are ideas, which are thoughts. Like my conscious and subconscious mind came together, and I said, you know what? I want to do the Black Love Weekend. I want to be able to educate Black people on how to love each other. And so therefore the Black Love Weekend is my creation. It's my children. So the coming together and to making love together is kind of what I do when I want to be creative. So in a way, it is a part of not necessarily lovemaking, but it's a marriage between my desires and the fact that I have this desire in me, which is the God force working through me to create things here. And that's why I feel like it's so important to create things such as the Black Love Weekend, because that is part of the creation. I feel like the Black Love Weekend and creating next weekend is a divine calling for me. And that, to me, is made out of love for Black people. So, that's just a stud. I mean, people can disagree. We all have our interpretations, and I think it's really valid, but that's one way, because in the Bible, there's no evidence of a wedding. There's a marriage in the Bible, but ain't no wedding in the Bible. So how can it really be talking about? May not necessarily be talking about people. It could be talking about what happens inside of you when you create. That's just an interpretation. So, yes. So, yeah. Oh, we got Bannister Sunshine. We got like biblical scholars here. I don't want to be like these biblical scholars. Whoa, that's way too much. What is she saying? Okay. The primary scripture, therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife. Okay, so you do have to leave, hold fast to your wife. Ain't no wedding. It's a marriage, but there's no wedding. And then they shall become one flesh. Okay, so that signifies sexual intimacy. It is intended solely for marital union, which creates a husband and wife. Okay, see, I interpret that as the marriage between your subconscious and conscious mind together as a union, and that's how you be creative. That's how you're going to be fruitful. That's how you're going to create certain things. So when I see husband, I'm thinking about the conscious mind, and when I see wife, I'm thinking about your subconscious mind, because you impregnate your subconscious mind with your thoughts and ideas. So that's how I see it, the marriage between the two. Everybody is, of course, welcome to see things however they want to see it, but that's one interpretation, because there's many interpretations. And I'm going to be talking about that at the Black Love Weekend, actually. I got like a little bit of something about submission and stuff like that that I want to talk about at the Black Love Weekend. But anyway, okay, thank you for your any more questions that you guys have, you can put right in the chat. I just want to say welcome everybody, and thank you for joining us. We are talking about barriers in the bedroom. We're getting expert advice from Miss Nikquan Lewis, and she is here talking about expert advice. I am asking her a question about, what is a good, how do you know what's good sex? And you have to kind of understand what it is. It's a co-created thing, something negotiated that you and your partner have to have. And it's interesting, when people were talking, what do you think about shows like Married at First Sight, where you get married first and then on the flip side, you got to start getting to know each other, and you have to do it backwards. And I think it's really interesting how some people really look at that show and they jump right into the bedroom right away, and they don't even know each other. Sometimes people can get hot and heavy, but they doesn't mean that they need to be in a relationship. How do you distinguish between the two? Like, we're hot and heavy in the bedroom, and that's going well, but we don't really know each other. Like, people are married at first sight. I've seen that, lots of examples of that in Married at First Sight. But what do you have to say to that?
One, I love that show, and I need to be on that show, because I
need to be on there.
Yeah, I would do it differently. So that kind of goes into Eric's Eric put a question in the chat, and I sent a resource. He said, "Are there rules for compatibility?" And so it's kind of tied in there, right? And so, one, married at first sight. The truth is they have a limited time, right? And so there's nothing wrong with being, people are sexual beings. There's nothing wrong with that, but I don't feel that they are given enough tools to be able to do what we're talking about, which is understanding if you don't have compatibility off top, like sometimes you meet people and the chemistry is crazy, right? The chemistry is crazy. You feel like you're super compatible and it's easy breezy. That's cool. At the same time, that's not everybody's story. And people think that if we have to kind of do some work, that might mean that there's no compatibility, and that's like a red flag. That may not be the case. The reality is we all have different perspectives. We have different lived experiences. We have different childhoods. We learn different things about sex. We learn all these different things. And sometimes you do have to create compatibility. Now, I'm not saying force a round, circle into a square peg, okay. But I'm saying understand that we're different. And if we have some, our core values, principles, and morals align, then there may have to be, some work. And that's where, understanding your definition of, if we're talking about intimacy, your definition of what a healthy sex life is. What is yours, right? I'm talking about down to frequency, how you like to experience pleasure, desire, right? Mm-hmm. Understanding it and getting the language for how you get turned on. A lot of people don't have the language for that. And then there's the expectation that folks who just have sex on the brain, that's more of a responsive desire. Some people, that's spontaneous. That's spontaneous desire. Some people are responsive desire, which means they require a stimulus of some kind. They require a physical touch. They require to feel safe, emotionally and connected. They require a smell or, watching something sexy or reading some erotica. They require something, and then sex gets on the brain. And so people think because there's a discrepancy, because that's called desire discrepancy, that automatically means we're not good for each other. That's not what that means. That means we have to, again, co-create, understand how each other, gets turned on. If I feel like good sex means 7 days a week, but my partner feels like one day, right? Now we have to compromise.
Yeah.
Compromise means that you're gonna either have to give or bring it back a little bit, but understand that everyone's needs to be considered.
Yeah, that's interesting to figure out if you're compatible. And you think that on that show, because I know Dr. Pia, she's from Chicago. I don't know her personally. She's from Chicago. I don't know her personally, but I sent her a message I DM'd her and she got right back to me. I was like, hey girl. Hey girl. I put a long comment in there. And so you never know what constraints they're under, because I have problems. First of all, you would do something differently in terms of tools on there, wouldn't you?
I would do something differently as it relates to the whole screening process.
Yes, that's what I said. Girl,
are you watching the current one, which is in your city?
Oh my God. I stopped watching it after a while. After that, it was a couple of scenes with the picnic or whatever. I stopped watching. I was like, I can't look at it anymore. Yeah. I just can't. I'm done, because they know how to screen. And by the way, I did look up how they screen people to get to be on that show. That screening is not scientific at all.
It's giving it.
It's not scientific. And honestly, there are ways to know if somebody is appropriate to be married or not. Some of those people should never be married or in a relationship with anybody. And so it makes me wonder if there's really like tension between the therapists that come on there and maybe the producers. Because if you know, the two people left is the pastor and the sociologist. They're not licensed therapists. So I'm wondering if there's an ethical thing going on, how they have to keep cycling out the licensed therapist who get to a certain point. And it's just like, I can't deal with these couples because they shouldn't be together. And they probably are getting information and they're feeling this is unethical to put people in a basically traumatizing position. I really think that they're psychologically and emotionally, not physically to my knowledge, but they're damaging these people. And I think emotional and psychological abuse that I'm seeing on this show, it goes without being checked. Number one, not strong enough for me.
Yes.
And it has a lasting impact because it is a real marriage and they're playing around with it. And you would think a pastor would know better or someone would have, but their ethics is so different from a licensed therapist. Girl, I can go on and on about Married at First Sight, and to put them in close corners like this and to encourage sexual intimacy. That's even more damaging psychologically, to share your body with somebody because you've entrusted professionals who's not supposed to give you a psychopath. And that's what they've done in a lot of ways. I couldn't watch it anymore, but it's almost like a train wreck. You can't watch it, but you want to feel that. So, it is something where you start to get into ethics. And I did a couple of videos on the fact that I was really uncomfortable with the selection process. There are things they can do that can select out. I mean, there are simple questions you can ask.
Yes.
They can definitely, identify whether that person should be on this show or not. So you wonder about ratings versus ethics. And I feel like they kind of push that line. Okay, so you agree with that? Okay, so I think that's like absolutely ridiculous. And I can talk about that all day. But to get back to sexual intimacy and barriers in the bedroom, the ethics of putting somebody in a very immediately intimate position where you're living and sleeping in the same bed with this person, that has a lot to do with the potential damage that you're doing. And I think they playing around with people and they need to cut it out.
Yes, I agree.
Okay, let's move on. We got another question, Nikquan. Okay, can a couple still work on intimacy while experiencing a long distance relationship? My husband work keeps him away. What are you going to give to Jessica?
All right. So absolutely. So again, I don't know if you were here for the Jessica, but intimacy needs to occur as a whole. Right. And so it will be easier, Jessica, to hit on the other areas of intimacy, including experiential, which is shared hobbies and interests, right? Taking, you guys can do like online classes. When he's in town, you guys can take dancing classes, cooking classes, whatever those things are, shared hobbies and interests, right? So that's one. You have the intellectual, so learning something together. You have emotional, safe spaces, right? Feeling like you can open up and be vulnerable with your partner, sharing your dreams and your interests, not only talking about the business of marriage, right? Physical, when he's there. Physical means sexual and non-sexual intimacy. So, hugging. There's a lot of people that, when I ask, I'm talking about couples. When's the last time you hugged? They don't know, right? So making sure that you're prioritizing physical intimacy. And then spiritual, praying together if you're a believer or whatever your spiritual practice is. So for sexual intimacy, there are so many tools that you can utilize in 2025 to keep that sexual spark alive. And that includes, of course, video chat. That includes, there are long distance adult toys. And for anybody who needs it, baby, I got a coupon for you. Okay.
Get the coupon.
Yeah. I'm a partner with, a few different adult toy companies, and some of them specialize in innovation. And so there are fun toys that you can incorporate, and the distance doesn't have to be a barrier. It no longer has to be a barrier. So intimacy is about intention.
Yeah.
You don't take anything else away. I want you to hear that intimacy is about intention.
Yeah.
And so even though the distance may be there, the intimacy can still be spicy. Are you connecting? And this is for everybody. What is the foreplay like? And when I'm talking about foreplay, I'm not just talking about sex. I'm talking about how you connect throughout the day. For those that, are sleeping in the same bed as a partner, how do you greet your partner in the morning when you wake up? Are you sending messages throughout the day? Right? Or is it only we've been disconnected all day, right? Mm-hmm. We're talking about when the mortgage is due, or whatever, the kids, what they got going on, and you leave, your partner gets the crumbs of the night, and then you wonder why intimacy ain't hitting like you want it to, right? Foreplay, you need to expand your definition of what foreplay is. It's not only sex. It can include it, but it really is communication and connection. So those are definite ways, Jessica, to increase and to prioritize intimacy long distance is being intentional, incorporating technology, whether it be video and toys, and enhancing foreplay.
Okay, so Jessica, let me tell you what she's saying. She's saying that you can be in a long distance relationship with your husband right there next to you. Okay. A long distance relationship.
Yes.
You can have a long distance relationship and be living in the same house with somebody, or you can be in a very close, intimate relationship with somebody who works away from home when you build anticipation. Ooh, I can't wait to see you. When you do things to kind of build anticipation and excitement to see each other again, what is your ritual for how you separate? What is your ritual for how you come back together, Jessica? It could still be hot and heavy. Mm-hmm. And even when he's away, you can flirt.
Yes.
And apparently, Nikquan got some coupons.
I do. I got some promo codes for you.
Okay. She got some coupon codes that we could put in. So Jessica, that's a great question. You don't worry. And I think men love that. Men want to be faithful. Everybody I talk to, all the men I talk to, they don't get married just to go and mess it up. Like, they want to be faithful. And I think there's different ways for Jessica to sing. Jessica sang on here. So we got another question. Oh my God, we got so many questions. Y'all keep putting your questions in. Sunshine Bannister is saying, oh, how cute. I like them glasses. Anyway, she's saying, how do you keep your marriage romantic when you're in partnership with your spouse in your business?
Yes, baby. Listen.
I want to know that, because I got that problem too. Keeping it romantic.
Mm-hmm. It is about healthy boundaries, healthy and perfect. So personal and professional boundaries. And so when you are in business with your partner, when you're in business, I'm an entrepreneur. So is Dr. Alicia, right? Yeah. We have private practices. It could be like I'm on 24/7, right? Which is not healthy. It's not healthy and it ain't sexy, if we're going to be honest, right? So if you don't turn off, if you don't have healthy boundaries that, okay, our hours are from this to this. Now, sometimes with, entrepreneurship, you got to do what you have to do. But if that needs to be the exception to the rule, that means we ain't going to get into business, right? But that means we got systems in place. We got SOPs. We got the things. We got team. We got things that, support a healthy life. I tell my clients all the time, you are living a life that does not support a healthy relationship. You are sometimes starting with you, right? So if you're not living a life that supports space for you to prioritize your marriage and intimacy, then that is a problem. So that means healthy boundaries where we disconnect. We don't talk about business on date nights, right? We don't talk about business, kids, none on date nights. This is simply about us. We have times to intentionally connect. So it's about protecting that time, which can be challenging when you are in entrepreneurship in general, but also in partnership with your partner. So healthy boundaries for sure, and prioritizing date nights. If you got everything else on the calendar, right? You need to be on the calendar. Are you on the calendar, or is date night on the calendar? And some people think it's intimacy on the calendar. I get so much pushback. Especially
on the calendar.
I get pushback from my guys when I suggest scheduling sex. Understand, the ones that are scheduling it are the ones having it. Mm-hmm. And the ones that refuse still ain't. And so if you don't want to call it scheduling, that's fine. Come up with a creative term. I like to say protecting the time. And it's protecting intimacy. And you can do whatever you want to in that space. And it can be as spontaneous as you want it to be. You just know at this time, It's protected. You can bring out your toys, your sexy clothes, your food. You can do whatever. You can go have a date at the adult toy store or somewhere else if that's your thing, right? But it's simply about protecting the time.
Let me tell you, the healthy boundaries is so hard when you're in business with somebody because, and I feel like my husband has much better boundaries than I do because I be salty sometimes. Sometimes I be so mad at him, and he be like, "Well, we gotta run this business," and I'll be sitting there like, "Fuck that! I ain't running no business right now. I'm mad at you." I can't. I have a problem with that. I'm like, we'll run the business after we talk about this for 5 more minutes because you ain't squirreling out of this, you know. So sometimes I get like upset with him, and I'll be like, no, we got to let's button this up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's button this up a little bit more. I'm not continuing on, so I can be a little stubborn. I know I can. I know that's my
It's
thing.
important. So
Yeah,
then you gotta have shared goals, right? Because if
yeah.
intimacy and connection as a whole is a shared goal, what steps are we taking to implement that?
Yeah. So I don't
It's
know.
always gonna be something to do.
I feel like I'm a little spoiled when it comes to stuff, but I recognize that. I recognize it, Nikquan. I'm like, no, we are not avoiding this topic. We got to talk about this first before we move on. Then we'll have our business meeting, but we have got to talk about this first. And I'll be saying stuff. But he's really good with boundaries. You know, when we go out to eat, he's like, do not talk to me at all about business or I'm leaving. And I'll be like, fair enough. He's right though. I'm like, okay, fair enough. Fair enough. We are not talking about business. We ain't talking about the internet. We ain't talking about what nobody's doing. And we just enjoy each other. And sometimes we just get lost where sometimes I don't even know what's going on in his business. I'm like, you're doing what? When? What? We don't even talk about it. We get into each other so much that we keep talking about. Nikquan, we got more questions. What is that? Okay. This is going down.
Give Bruce's question because that's a good one.
Oh, which one is his? We got Primo got a question.
Does love sometimes take a break and come back?
Oh,
Bruce. Yes. Love is a feeling, right? And so love is a feeling, but it is also an action word.
Yes.
Right? But the feeling of it, absolutely, it just like all feelings, they come and they go, right? But if we are doing the steps necessary to prioritize intimacy, connection, right, as a whole, then that feeling stays around a lot longer. But it's not sometimes I've been with my husband for 18 years and I've been married for almost 10. I'm not gonna sit here and act like I like him all the time because I don't.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And he gets on my nerves sometimes. Right. And so we have been through things. What I said when we first got on here, all of us have stuff and it shows up in our relationship. But if you are showing the action of love, there are certain things that are not optional. Right? Mm-hmm. Respect, compassion, trust. These are the foundations of a healthy relationship. And if you stand on these and you grow together, what I mean by that is, are you talking about, if you're only talking about the business of marriage, you tend to grow this way, right? Versus what are our dreams? What are our shared dreams? What are our shared goals for our relationship? Not including business, but not just, business. What do we want from each other? And then that alignment piece is key. Understanding that alignment can shift a little bit, but a lot of us did not have images of healthy relationship growing up. And then you enter into relationships not in alignment. You're doing the best that you can. You're focusing on the physical aspects, and that's what got you in that relationship, but it won't keep you, right? And so understanding, are we in alignment at this stage in our life? And if not, can we get in alignment? Or can we have some shared values, principles, and morals, right? Is that possible at this stage? So does it come and go? It can, but the action should not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's so scary sometimes because I'm imagining, you know, you love somebody and then it starts to wane and you start getting nervous like, oh my God, am I going to have to eventually, is this ever going to come back? You
Yeah.
know, if it's not there, is it ever going to come back? And sometimes people are too afraid to acknowledge it. Wait, there's a song about that. We don't want to talk about it. Neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye if that's even possible, right? So
Yeah.
you people just don't want to, they get kind of nervous because they're like, I'm not feeling it the way I used to. And I don't know what to do about it. People get stuck and they wonder if it's gone, is this ever going to come back? And
Yeah.
if it doesn't come back, what's my future going to look like? Can I live this way for the rest of my life? And a lot of people thinking, oh my God, I can't be so lonely like this. So that's a really good question, but it's a frightening reality for so many people to who are experiencing it. This is a very real feeling.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then once you realize that I don't feel no love for this person anymore, is it going to come back? Once you realize that, what are you going to do with that? You
Yeah.
know, when
Some
you
hard.
got a mortgage and kids and a dog, you've accumulated a car, you've accumulated all these things and a whole lifestyle, and then you're struggling trying to keep that love there and wondering if it's going to come back. Bruce, that's a really good question. And it is frightening for most of us because we're talking about potentially uprooting your entire life. Girl, Nikquan, we got so many questions. I've never, ever, ever done a video where I've had this many questions. This tells us y'all can't, she ain't answering no more questions. If you want to come and get your questions answered,
Oh,
you got to sign up to the Black Love Weekend.
come on and see us.
I'm done with Nikquan. There's some really good questions on here, but
One thing I want to give Bruce some actionable steps. But Bruce,
yes,
you also need to come see us because Sunday I'll be there for an hour and a half.
that's right.
Actionable steps. If you are wondering about the love and how to get that back, ask yourself, am I operating as husband, right? Am I operating as the husband that I said I would be? Not based off of what your partner is doing, but do you feel like you are in alignment with the role that you say that you're in? One, if you need support with reconnecting, because it's a real thing and it happens. I do it every single day. Reach out for, support to assist you with reestablishing that connection, because it does happen. Also ask yourself, am I doing the things to stay connected? If me and my partner ain't talking all day, if we're not dating each other, I don't care if you've been married 30 years, you should still be dating one another.
That's
if
right.
you are not doing the actions of a couple that is in love, are you being realistic with, the expectations? Right? So reach out for some support because it is available and you are not alone.
That's right. Reach out for some support. And I see you, Primo Supreme. Primo Supreme got really good questions. I like this last one, but we ain't even got time to deal with it. But Primo, you got to come to the Black Love Weekend. I'm going to answer all your questions. I do have a Q&A for the VIPs only. So you'd have to upgrade, Primo. It ain't that much money. So come to the Black Love Weekend, everybody. And y'all just got to meet one of our speakers to the Black Love Weekend. Ain't she knowledgeable, you guys? Are tickets per couple or individual? It's per couple. I mean, I'm not going. You and people can hover around hover around the laptop if you want. So, look at Primo. You're just babbling. Primo can't get his question answered. But Primo, I want to see you because I want to hear what you have to say, and we'll get your questions answered and everybody's question answered at the Black Love Weekend. And we can. The tickets are per couple. Yeah, you can come as a couple. And also be sure to join us. And thank you, Primo. Primo wants to see. I want to see you too. Yes, I will see you there. And come on in, and you will have access to the recordings. You will also have access to my handouts. And so, and that's just for the VIPs. You can have a general admission ticket, which is $99. And that's for you to come and join and participate in the workshop. I got great stuff coming in. We are going to be talking about all the different types of intimacy. And if you haven't found the love of your life yet, you're going to be ready to find them when you see them after next weekend. So be sure to join us. Thank you, Nikquan. Parting words for what's in store for everybody this weekend from you, because I know you're putting together a fantastic presentation for us.
Absolutely. And so parting words are intimacy is, well, vulnerability is required for genuine connection and intimacy, right? And it's not something that just happens for everybody. It's completely natural if it takes effort and work, and understand that you're worth it. And we all desire and deserve pleasure. It is our birthright.
Yes.
And so on Sunday, we'll be talking about some barriers to why couples aren't having the sex that they want. And we'll talk about, what are some ways that you can get around that. And also, for anybody that's in Houston, any Black women in Houston, I am having an event on the 23rd here to show women how to prioritize themselves and how to achieve the pleasure that they want and deserve and utilize it as self-care.
Yeah, self-care is self-love. Prioritizing yourself is something that I think all women, especially mothers, need to know how to do, because you can lose yourself and taking care of everybody else. Oh my God. Thank you, Nikquan. That is so important. Y'all come to that. What day is that? How do they sign up? Is it in
February 23rd? And I put it in the chat. So Ayana,
you put it in the chat. Y'all come to that.
Come on.
I need to sign up.
In Houston, you can get to Houston. I wish you were here.
I wish so too. What part of Houston are you in? Houston? Oh my God.
Yeah.
What part of Houston? Yeah, I gotta go to. I gotta spend some time in Houston. I know a lot of people out there. I got married in Houston. I need to go back and enjoy my maybe, I don't know, maybe for my anniversary, I'll get my husband to take me back to Houston. We gotta hang out and do some things. But anyway, Nikquan is dangerous.
I am dangerous. Okay. Michael Jackson.
That is so great. Thank you so much. Y'all, vulnerability is required for connection. And if vulnerability is crippling for you, scary for you, you're going to end up being lonely and alone. And I'm going to tell you something. On the other side of vulnerability, on the other side of connection, woo, y'all just don't know. It is the most beautiful place to be. And so it's your mind that's holding you back. And so really that's what we're doing here. We're trying to crack open that nut in your head. No pun intended, but so that you can get to the other side of connection, because it is your birthright. Thank you for saying that. I am going to talk about that too this weekend, about how it's our birthright as Black people. Listen, if it wasn't for the love of a Black man and a Black woman, all of civilization would not have existed. So how can we not reclaim what's ours?
That's right.
Okay. On that note, I'm going to say goodbye to you, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Sunday. Bye, Nikquan.
I'll be there. See y'all.